makes me wonder, why do two young artists active in the New York art scene, living in the center of the art world in the US, if not the world, why did they move here to this fairly secluded place?
It was actually Lee's idea to move out here, but she wanted to come out for the winter. It would be a part-time thing. But he said no. When they went back in the fall, he changed his mind. And he told her that they should move out here full-time, buy a house and settle down. Of course, the question was, what were they going to do for money? They didn't have any money, but Jackson's patron, Peggy Guggenheim, did. So it became Lee's job to convince Peggy that this was a good idea and that she should put up the money.
What was the division of labor like between the two artists? You know, owning a house is a big responsibility, a lot different than a New York apartment.
Definitely. I mean, both of them, I think, were in for a bit of a rude awakening when they moved in. They didn't have any plumbing or central heating. You can see behind us is a little white building, the outhouse. And Jackson admitted that it was what he called a little tough on a city slicker. But he'd been in New York City since he was 18. And Lee, of course, was born in Brooklyn, lived in New York her whole life. So there was a kind of culture shock, if you like, but they were determined to make a go of it, and they did.
How do you think being out here affected Lee's work?
I think it was crucial for her to move out from the city because, according to her, she had really hit an impasse. Whatever it was about the environment or the change of scene just allowed her to see everything with fresh eyes. And she started doing these beautiful all over, what she later called her little image paintings, that were a real breakthrough for her.
Where did they work?
Well, first they worked in the house because they had to rent it while Lee convinced Peggy that she should lend them the down payment. So they had studios inside, he upstairs in an unheated bedroom, and she downstairs in the back parlor near a wood stove. This was Lee's studio from about 1946 until 1956 after Pollock died. Then in 57 she moved into the Barnes studio. They only went into each other's studios by invitation, according to Lee. They liked to work in private. And then if she was having a problem, if she was having an impasse, she would call him in and say, "What do you think?" And he would say, according to her, "Oh, that's nonsense, just keep working." In 1953 was doing a series of drawings up in the studio in the bedroom, and she was just disgusted with them. They just weren't working out. So she tore them up, threw them on the floor, walked out of the room and slammed the door, and didn't go back in for a couple of days. Then when she went back, she looked at the mess on the floor and she suddenly thought, that's kind of interesting. So she started making collages out of the pieces of the drawings. And it led her off into a whole new direction. She just got a whole new body of work out of this very happy accident. Or out of a negative, she turned it into a positive.
It's exciting to be in the space where Jackson Pollock and Lee Krasner did so many of their great paintings over the years. Can you tell us a little bit about this space?
This Barnes studio was originally located outside on the property where you see the concrete pad. So it was directly behind the house. And Jackson had it moved over here in 1946 to be converted as his studio. That's when the big window was put in and this wood floor. After his death in 1956, Lee took over this space and she worked here for the next 27 years. She worked on the walls. So all of the marks, the colors and gestures that you see on the walls are from her.
Can you tell us a little bit about Lee Krasner's working method?
She said she liked to work always within her body size. She was 5'5", not much taller than I am, so reaching up, she didn't want to stand on a ladder. She wanted it to be something that she could react to basically one-on-one with the canvas. So when you see photographs of her at work, the paint is splashed right up to the ceiling. This is where she did her largest and most famous works.